Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and start the meeting. All right, well, welcome everyone. Hopefully this October doesn't get too cold, too blustery for you guys. Yeah, this winter's coming up real fast. Yeah, I'm not ready for the snow. Are you guys feeling ready for the snow? Woo, no way. Brad say, no, that can stay up north. Yeah, you need to come up north. I just drove down right now. Yeah, we got to cut Utah in half. All right, well, I'm happy to see so many of you here. And I'm gonna do some introductions. So are there any new people that are here tonight? I don't think so. No one new. The only new person I see is Colton, and that is our interpreter. All right, well, welcome. All right, so now I'm gonna ask Melanie, Melanie, to do the roll call. All right, so I see Martin is here. John.
Present.
Larry. Larry said hello. Brad. Cody. Sharon. And I think those are the members. Martin's saying Sue. Is Sue not here? Oh, she's staff. I'm sorry, she's staff. I see DSDHM. That's faculty as well. That's Jane. So we only have 6 right now. Yeah, we have 6. I know Katie. Yeah, let's see. I know that Katie Weiss. She couldn't be here today. As well as Kim. She wasn't feeling well either. So those 2 won't be in attendance. I don't know if I see anyone else new. Let's see. There's Eric. Katie Green. Thank you, Cody.
Eric, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think Sarah might not be here today.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, thank you for letting us know. Cody? Yes, hi, this is Cody speaking. I was wondering if we have the required number without, you say Rob?
Quorum.
Quorum, sorry, thank you, the quorum. Yeah, we have 51%. Right, so we need 8. But I think it's 15. We need 8. And we only have 6, and that's fine. So we need to take a second to verify the minutes. So we can either hold that until next month or until we have this quorum. Let's see, last time we talked about, we discussed if it was possible topics of the committee was one. I remember last month we spoke about setting up like 3 committees. There could be more, could be less. Depends on your desires. One would be the bylaws. The other one would be the service review committee. And then the third one would be the community events committee. And so we can let Eric go ahead and lead with that beautiful document. I don't know if Melanie sent you a copy of that document. Did you receive that? You can go ahead.
I don't think it was sent to the whole council. I think we just shared the template with the executive board so that we could fill it in to complete it, but we were going to review it. So I can do a screen share. It'll make it difficult to see the interpreter for a few minutes, but I can bring it up on a screen.
Yeah, we can try that.
Oh, I'm going to have the host allow me.
Okay, yeah, we let her share screen. Yep, one moment. We'll give you that permission. Perfect. Okay, go ahead, Eric. And Larry, I'm gonna go ahead and put my camera down. If you could do the same too, that way we can free up more screen space for when Eric shares his screen. Sounds good.
Okay. Okay, can you see the DSDHH template now?
And Melanie's saying yes.
Okay, great. So sort of walking everyone through it. This is a way that we can standardize any committee that we want to create. The executive council would probably bring the concept to the main council. And once we'd agreed upon the creation of a specific committee, which it sounds like we're close to right now, we would just use this template, and I'll walk you through it very quickly, to fill in the specifics and make sure that we have some standardized language. And sorry if I'm looking off to the side, but I have 3 screens up right now. So where you guys are with the camera is different than the screen that I'm looking at. So this, the first thing we'll do is, since it's a council, I guess we can call it a committee or subcommittee. It doesn't matter. I can change that language. But we'll establish what the purpose is. And the purpose is pretty general, which is to provide any kind of assistance or targeted focused information, data gathering, or analysis on a specific topic to the committee that then in turn gets shared with DSDHH as a process of feedback. So then there's a function section, and this is where we would add additional details, but of course it's to advise the advisory council on a specific topic. So if the specific topic is suggested bylaws changes, that's their function. And then we can designate the composition of that subcommittee. It's nice to be able to have a lot of inclusion and diversity on the committees, but we may also need to reach outside of the advisory council to make a committee as diverse and inclusive as we'd like. We're probably going to want to do that if we have very many people active anyway, because we don't want 3 people doing all the work on all of the committees. So we can modify this, but essentially each committee has its own chairperson or someone to lead. There should be at least 1 member of the advisory council formally on any committee, but we can have volunteer members from the community who maybe don't have normal AC roles still participate and help us. And again, the language here is usually participation by a member is something that's approved by myself and the advisory committee chair. So Martin and I, and that's a fairly informal process. We can make it more formal if we feel like there's a need, but usually for committees that we're looking for volunteers on, we're happy if anybody wants to join. And we can also allow participation more functional. I'm sure that Justin has some advice for us there. In terms of the location, I wrote in that you know, that we can meet at the Sanderson Center. These committees can meet at the Sanderson Center or virtually, but the expectation when a committee does exist is that it meet at least monthly. Because the idea is that the committee will produce something, whether it's data or recommendations that they share with the AC the following month, so that we get updates and understand where the progress is, or with some committees, maybe they actually complete their mission and then we can dissolve the committee if it's no longer needed. And then their responsibilities are pretty basic, which is they gather data, they analyze the data, they look for gaps, trends, they make recommendations related to their mandate and our services, and they provide monthly updates and findings. And also that we can do anything else in terms of repurposing or redirecting them to look for additional information, so that it's sort of a two-way and evolving process if you're on one of these committees. Since we don't use funds or things like that, we don't have to have a committee that worries about our budget, for instance. But I think that things like with activities or populations that we serve, for instance, those things tend to be dynamic, and when you kind of solve one problem, then that committee would probably get directed to move right into the next thing and the next thing. So those committees would probably continue to exist going forward. So this is a simple way to use that template. If the executive board creates it and the whole AC votes to accept it the way we would fill this out, then Martin and I would sign it, and we can and then that would establish that committee going forward. I think that's in keeping with everything that's required in the bylaws. So I can send a copy out to anyone, but this is just shared as a Google Doc at the moment. I'll stop sharing so we can see everyone on the screen, if I can figure out how to stop sharing.
If you click on the red button.
Stop share.
Yep.
It was just on a different screen. There we go. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Eric. Two things I wanted to comment on before we open it up for questions. So in regards to that document, first off, I just want to make it clear that even though it looks very official and it seems like there's quite a few expectations, it's not. This is just a guide to help everyone basically understand the process, what the expectations are, because historically, you've heard of, a committee's been set up and then it becomes a committee of one by the end. So what we're trying to do is prevent that from happening. And secondly, the process really should help everyone become more comfortable in getting involved. I just want to make sure that everyone understands, and that we had the discussion we had a few weeks ago with the members of the Executive Council, that this is not a working committee. It's more of an advisory committee. The difference is a working committee will typically spend a lot of time and effort and hours going over different things, and that's where we have the DSDHH staff to do that. And that is one of, we have a few people that it's their duty to do that type of work. Now, an advisory committee is more of just taking in the data, looking it over, and maybe having 2 or 3 small subcommittees, up to 5 possibly, because we do have 15 members on our council. So maybe 3 to 5 people per committee, possibly 4, yet to be determined on each committee. And they invite community members to be a part of that and have discussion and really just bounce off some ideas with the community. And then they make suggestions, and then that committee comes to a determination or with consensus, not necessarily a vote that, someone wins, someone loses, but we just come to a consensus where we're all feeling good about it. And then people on that committee make a recommendation to the entire advisory council. And then the advisory council can have a discussion and then vote on it and whether they accept that recommendation or not. So hopefully we've cleared up that process and am open for any questions, any concerns, or yeah, if anyone has anything, feel free to, but just one at a time, feel free to share.
This is John Gallus. I do have a question.
Sure, John, go ahead.
1 second, we're turning on our video, making sure we can see. So I would like that paper to be sent to me via email, because on my computer, I have the inverted color ability on my computer, and I want to be able to change that for my access. It's going to be a black background with white wording instead of the inverse or the regular of white background, black lettering. And it will just be easier for me to see on my computer. Would somebody mind emailing me that for access?
Martin says, yes, we'll do that. Eric says yes as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Anything from the advisory council members? Whether or not you like the idea, do you think it's too much? Is it too long? Any thoughts? Too short? Feel free to raise your hand if you're shy.
This is John again.
Go ahead, John.
So I'd be willing to help with note taking or being able to write and some develop.
I minored in.
So I have very good writing skills, so I would love to be able to have that advanced vocabulary as a skill set for the advisory panel. And so I'd be more than happy to be involved with the writing and diction of some of the write-ups that we have. And also I have an expertise in grammar.
Oh, that's awesome. Appreciate your willingness to help out. So if then there's no other questions, comments, and if everyone seems to be okay with that document, I will ask Eric to go ahead and share that. That way we can have a discussion and vote on that next month. Now what we'd like to do is discuss the 3 committee ideas, whether we want to add, make any changes, multiply, delete some committees. Again, we have the 3 ideas, 3 topics. First being bylaws. And that would be just clarifying some of the bylaws, some of the language that's unclear or maybe no longer applies. Second committee would be Services Review Committee, reviewing all of the services that the Deaf Center, DSDHH, the Deaf Center is the building itself, but the division of services for the deaf and hard of hearing. Do we feel like the services that they're providing are adequate, and if not, what else? So what suggestions would be recommended, that what other services would be recommended that the division provide? One idea that I'd like to pitch is that Native American or Indigenous people, are there any deaf or hard of hearing people that are receiving the services that they need? So that's just one example. And then the third committee would be community events. And that would be more of gathering ideas for future activities and events, and also reviewing whether or not the event, was it a success? What made it a success? So those are the 3 topics that we're suggesting. If you feel like Those are good. Feel free to make any suggestions, changes, additions. If there's any comments anyone wants to share, if you need any clarification on any of those topics, please share that as well. Go ahead, Cody. I'm just curious that the events subcommittee, would they be responsible of planning and hosting events, running the event? For example, the Fall Bazaar, would they be responsible to host that, run that, provide the activities? What is the scope of work for that committee? That's an excellent question. I think maybe Eric could perhaps answer that.
Yeah, so sort of returning to our mission, the advisory council just analyzes and advises. So the advisory council is our mechanism for feedback. Many members of the advisory council may volunteer on other committees or work with us and help. But as far as our work on the council or any of its committees, that's purely data and feedback. So for events, for instance, that would be like assessing our calendar, looking for opportunities, or maybe giving us advice about events we had and where we maybe could improve them. For instance, that committee might look at whether or not our events were properly accessible. Were they well advertised? You know, maybe because when we do events, we do surveys. It might be that that group is also looking at our surveys and identifying whether or not there are trends we should be paying attention to. So it would be just an advisory sort of review committee. They don't have to plan the parties. They don't have to host the parties. However, if the members on that committee want to volunteer to do that, we'll probably find volunteer opportunities for them outside of the committee to do that.
Thank you, Eric. And that makes me wonder so the working committees, not council. So these working committees, they are ones that would host, they do all the legwork, they plan it, they host it. And if you want to volunteer to do that, that's great. But that's not what you would sign. You would meet with Eric and ask Eric what you could do to help. But the 3 committees that I mentioned, those are all just advisory committees, not working, which means you're just gathering information, finding pros and cons, what the benefits are. Another example, like Cody mentioned, the Fall Bazaar. I know that to many people asked why it was moved up. It's typically held in November. This year we had it in September. A second comment is, it's the month of September. Is that doable? Did it work? Was it a success? Did we like having it in September, or should we go back to the traditional November? And so that's what the committee would do, is develop some questions to ask the division staff and just get answers and then send that to the advisory council, not the committee. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, because like, for instance, surveying is part of our assessment for any activities, the Fall Harvest Festival being an example. We have a report about with the survey data. Well, maybe this committee would staff it every month and look at that data, and then they could help bring that back and report on it. So I have that right now in a presentation format that I got from our CEO group. So if there was a chair of that committee now, I would email them that so they could review it.
Fabulous. Thank you, Eric. Are there any other questions, comments, suggestions?
This is John.
Go ahead, John.
I'm just wondering about the needs and helping for deaf people who are also
Resources for deaf.
resources for deaf people, for Native Americans. I was just thinking somebody who might be a member of the Shoshone band. that name of that organization, the Native American Shoshone Band of Northern Utah, maybe even the Idaho area. So I could probably find that contact information and send it to you if you want, if you'd be interested in that information.
And Martin says, yeah, John, yes. And that would be part of the Services Review Committee.
That's fine. We'll see what I can do, but that, the only thing I know of relating to the Native American resources, that's the only thing I know of, nothing else. And they might have some more resources to refer you with some other organizations and other Native American groups.
Yes, thank you, John. Anyone else?
One thing, I'm having Melanie send out a quick list of the main DSDHH services. So anyone interested in the service committee can take a quick look at those.
Thank you for mentioning that. I was wondering where I could find that list, and I remember that was listed in another email I received from you. Okay. I'm going to call on a couple of you and say hello. Let's go to Larry. Do you mind turning on your video and saying hello? Hello, Larry.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Martin says, I can't hear you, but through the interpreter, I can. Just kidding. So Larry. Sorry to interrupt. What do you think about what we've discussed so far? What are your thoughts?
I like the idea of the form because it spells out and gives structure and states expectations for the people on the committee. And I think that knowing what the expectations are very important, so we can hold each other accountable when we're on a committee together.
Thank you, Larry. I'm glad you like the idea. Really, the point is just to keep things simple and not so overwhelming. Sometimes it can be very disheartening to show up at a meeting when things aren't making any progress or any traction. So we want to avoid that. And you get, you know, the plague of where a committee gets all excited and then they kind of lose steam and we don't get any reports and they kind of just fade. So I think having this will make it easier and encourage more involvement. So thank you for your comments, Larry. Okay, I'm going to call on, let's see. How about Sharon? Hello, Sharon.
Yeah, hello.
You're becoming so technically savvy.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying.
You're doing great. You're doing really good.
Still so new at this. I don't know what to say, you know, what I'm looking for or how to help in any way, but I am here if some, you know, if you need to include me in some kind of a committee.
Oh, fabulous. I was going to ask you, Sharon, what your feelings were about the whole thing.
Feel confusion. I feel like I'm crazy.
No, you're not crazy. Feel free to ask any questions if you need any clarification.
Okay.
Yeah, because often if one person doesn't understand, everyone else may be suffering with the same questions or confusion. So we just want to make sure that we're clear.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. And welcome to the council. And then I'm going to go next to one more person, and then we'll move on to roundtable. Let's see, how about Brad? Brad Jones. I don't really have any questions right now. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding everything, still processing it. Maybe once the document is sent out and we have the different committees, we can read over that. That will help me get a better understanding. Martin says, fabulous. One question I do have for you, Brad, is I know that you live quite a ways away. I just want to get your view on resolving the Salt Lake versus everywhere else dilemma. So, and Brad says, my perspective is maybe how we can get more other areas involved, maybe whether that's virtually, doing more advertising. So for those who can't show up in person, we could really market to those who are in other areas outside of Salt Lake and provide more opportunities. And Martin says, yeah, with going virtual, it has allowed for more opportunities for others to participate. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's definitely something to think about. Thanks, Brad. And Brad says, you're welcome.
All right, Eric.
Just wanted to follow up on that last question to Brad and let the council know, while I don't have all the details because we've just had the first 2 kickoff meetings, we are now working with a professional communications department to reevaluate and create a plan around our total communications presence, which includes how we use social media, what our website should provide and how to utilize it better and design it better, and how to plan and create a whole nother level of content to meet statewide needs. So the initial stage of that is going to be a 6-month development. It's going to require training of staff in new software and how to utilize social media and some things like that. But we're hoping to do this at sort of 2 levels, one of which is to feature better internet accessible services under the DSDHH umbrella, but the other is a whole new dynamic amount of communication and content in social media for the Sanderson Community Center side of things. There's going to be a lot to develop there. And like I said, we're working with some professionals now, but I'll be able to start to share elements of that as a communications plan for you, probably starting over the next couple of months. So look forward to that. By January, I think we're going to have at least a good outline so you can see where we plan to make some pretty significant changes that will allow us to reach families and youth and everyone else in 21st century ways, and not feel like our communication methods are still stuck back in 1992.
Or yeah, the 18th century. All right, yes, thank you, Eric. All right, so I appreciate your time. All right, so is there any updates with DSDHH right now for the next meeting?
Yeah, a couple of things are new. We just posted 2 positions for our community advocacy team. We are recruiting now for an office assistant / technician for St. George, so we can better cover that office, and that'll help some of our Southern Utah services. We are also now recruiting for a communications assessor, which is a specialty position that apparently is only happening in Georgia right now. None of the other state programs have them. So we're recruiting For those where I believe we're still recruiting for a CDI as well. Hopefully that will move forward soon. So we do have some of those positions in the works coming forward. In addition to that, next week, hopefully is what's considered a good kickoff to the UAD event. The night before, we're having a kids Halloween festival here with a maze and lots of activities. And we actually found some early horror, scary movies from like the 40s that are presented in ASL. So we're going to be able to provide Halloween movies in ASL, as well as games and a maze on Thursday night. So that's exciting. And the UAD is going to follow it up with a whole weekend of conference excitement. So that's even better. In addition to that, the 28th, morning of the 28th, I think that's next Wednesday. This 27th. Oh, see, now I'm going to get my days.
Yeah, Wednesday's the 27th.
Yeah, the morning of the 27th from 8 to 10:30 here at the Sanderson Center. IHC is going to come out and provide free COVID shots, boosters, and flu shots as well. So we've sent out an announcement about that, but that's kind of nice for us to be able to offer that. So we've got that, Halloween events, and then we haven't made an announcement yet, but I could share this with the AC, which is we are already, yes, Melanie?
Yes, also I wanted to add that we do have a ship and halt program. We have some appointments for that day as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a very busy day here. But yes, we have, is it chip, heat, and vaccine clinics all going on at the center. So hopefully that'll be a lot of robust services getting offered. We are also planning on doing a Thanksgiving event, but we haven't sent anything out about that formally, but we already have volunteers and donations ramping up for that. So that's going to be exciting to get that going this year too. So hopefully by next month before Thanksgiving, I'll have all the details for all of you.
Right, and I also want to clarify that the for the vaccinations, for the vendors, I wanted to know, like, it's for the 65 and up, if that's correct. For like health, or other like health reasons. So I know Pfizer is only if they only have the booster for the Pfizer. That's the only booster that is available.
Yeah.
Is that correct, Eric?
Well, sort of. Everything's changing this week with the FDA. By next week, they may be allowing it to mix and match. It is 65 and older or an underlying health condition for the booster. However, anyone who hasn't already got COVID shots can come get the full COVID shot. And again, there's also free flu shots. So there'll be nurses here who can answer specific questions if people have unusual circumstances.
All right, great, thank you. Thank you, Melanie and Eric. Yeah, it is gonna be a busy close of October. All right, so does anybody else want to make any announcements for your organizations that you're representing? Yes, Sue, go ahead.
I know that Jim, who is our representative for HLAA, Hearing Loss Association of America, and he's not here, but we are having our HLAA meeting on November 20th. We meet the third Saturday of each month from 10 to noon. And so for November, we are doing one on Meniere's disease, vertigo, and those kinds of things. We are now just getting our flyer done. And so we will be putting that in the newsletter. And so we just want to let you know about that upcoming event.
Perfect, thank you, Sue. Appreciate you sharing that. All right, is anyone else? Yes, Melanie, I wanted to add for Jim as well, because he did call me before the meeting. And he said that his internet was unfortunately down. He was struggling with that, but he wasn't able to get it to work. I did notice that he emailed me and apologized for not being able to get his internet to work. So I just want to let all of you guys know that. All right, thank you, Melanie. Yes, Cody, do you have something that you wanted to say? Yes, hi, this is Cody. And I was wondering, did we provide UDA conference already? Sorry, UTD conference already? We already did that. And then Martin said, yes, Eric did briefly talk about that. It's on Friday, October 29th, and Saturday, October 30th will be the UAD meeting. We'll have about 100 people coming. So it'll be really busy and a really fun weekend. And we'll keep DSDHH real busy. All right, does anyone else have anything they want to share?
And this is also John. I forgot to make a work announcement. I did see something pop up on Facebook. It seems like there is a job position available at Baltimore. In Baltimore, it seems as though they are hiring. Maybe that's something in regards to disability. It might be in regards to deafness, to be specific. It is going to be a youth advocate specialist. I think they are just working with the general population who has a disability, but that is a work opportunity that is available. I do know it's out of state, but it is an available job position. Maybe we could post it with our networks out in Baltimore as well. Just wanted to give you an FYI.
Yeah, send that to Melanie. Thank you, John.
Okay, and I'll make sure to send it to Melanie.
Thank you. All right, does anybody else have anything? All right, so it looks like if there's nothing else, then I will go ahead and close the meeting with a reminder to make sure to look at your email, and that our last meeting for the year is going to be on November 3rd, which is a Wednesday at 5 o'clock. There's going to be no meeting in December. So if there's nothing else, then be safe and stay warm. Oh, Eric, go ahead.
Just double checking. Oh, got some back there. The advisory council meeting, I have the executive council meeting on November 3rd.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? You said, what's happening on November 3rd?
I had the executive council meeting scheduled on the 3rd and the UAD full council meeting on the 17th. Are we changing those dates?
UAD is always the second Wednesday.
Yeah.
So it should be November 10th.
UAD is the 10th. Executive council is the 3rd. I just want to make sure my calendar is correct.
Okay. Yes, that is correct. And Melanie, you were saying? Yes, I'm sorry, I got kind of confused. You said that the executive, that's always on a Wednesday?
Yeah.
So you're in that meeting on the 3rd? Yes, that's correct. On the 3rd. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Okay, well then, take care. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you for coming and participating. Bye. And thanks to our interpreters.